Lesson 15, Connect and Die. In this lesson, we will continue learning basic capturing methods. We will learn about connect and die. So, what is connect and die? Well, as the name implies, it means they cannot connect back. It is a technique that uses Atari to prevent the opponent's stones from connecting. Let's first look at a basic shape. Okay, let's look at this shape. If black wants to capture these two white stones, now, how should it play? If black plays Atari right here, it forms a connect and die shape. We can see that after black's Atari here, these two white stones only have one liberty left. Next, if white tries to connect here, black's next move can capture all the white stones. So this is what we call connect and die. They can't connect back. Okay, now that we understand the basic connect and die shape, let's move on to learn some more advanced knowledge about it. As we just said, connect and die uses Atari to prevent the opponent from connecting. Actually, this Atari can be played as a continuous sequence. Let's look at this shape. Okay. If black wants to capture these three white stones now, it can use this Atari. Yes, Atari at this position. Next, if white wants to save the three stones, it must connect, and black continues to Atari. At this point, we can see it very clearly. It is the standard connect and die shape. They can't connect and will be captured. So the first thing to remember is connect and die usually relies on an Atari to deliver the final capturing blow. This problem shows continuous Ataris. With one more Atari, the opponent can be captured. Okay, next, let's learn another concept. We already know that Atari can form connect and die. Let's look at this shape. Please note, if black wants to capture these two white stones now, how should it Atari? If we analyze carefully, we'll find that if black plays Atari here, it forms connect and die. Next, if white connects here, black captures all the white stones. This is a standard connect and die. But please note that this shape is special, because we'll find that these two white stones have two Atari positions. If black plays Atari at this position after white connects, there is no connect and die. So this shape is quite special. What makes it special? It is that you need to pay attention to the Atari direction. Not all connect and die shapes can be formed by just a mindless Atari. For some connect and die shapes, you need to distinguish the correct Atari direction. Well, let's set up another problem to reinforce this. This Atari requires attention to direction. Let's set up another problem to deepen this impression. Okay, let's look at the outside. We can see black has been completely cut by white. So now, these two white stones are keystones for black. We haven't talked about keystones yet. This concept, a keystone is a very important stone. We will specifically discuss this in later lessons. And now, for black, we need to find a way to capture these two white stones to connect all the black stones. So how should black play? Let's see. If black plays Atari at this position, it will form connect and die. White, if it connects now, we see white's liberties are all reduced and black can capture all the white stones. So when black plays Atari, white has no choice but to leave it, play elsewhere. These two stones cannot be saved. But please note that black must never carelessly Atari at this position, because white can connect here. Right, white now has two liberties, and when black plays Atari again, white can capture black. White can capture the black stones. So here again, as I just mentioned, pay attention. For some Ataris, you must distinguish the direction. It doesn't work if you just Atari anywhere. This is an issue to watch out for when using Atari for connect and die. Okay, next let's look at another shape. Here, for example, a shape like this. Okay, we saw that all the connect and die shapes earlier seemingly all used Atari to capture the opponent. It was just a matter of one or two Ataris, or paying attention to the Atari direction, right? In those shapes, white only had two liberties. Let's look at this current shape. In this shape now, if black wants to capture white, is there a way to capture these three stones? Actually, there is a way. Even though these three white stones now have three liberties, and it seems there is no option to Atari. But we need to learn a method to reduce white's liberties or eliminate white's liberties called throw-in. This is a typical move using a sacrifice to take away the opponent's liberties. Using a throw-in to form connect and die is something we must master when learning about connect and die. After black plays the throw-in, for white to connect, it must capture. So after this exchange, we will find that white now has two liberties, and this Atari becomes possible. If white connects, black's next move captures them all. So, in this situation, the throw-in reduces white's liberties, or it is a great move to take away white's liberties using a throw-in to form connect and die. So this method of using a throw-in to reduce the opponent's liberties is something we need to deeply understand. Let me set up another shape like this. This shape looks very simple, but it is quite representative. Let's look at black. Now, if our goal is to capture this white stone, how should black play? It seems there is a spot for Atari now. But let's see if black directly plays Atari. White can just connect. Because after white connects, it has two liberties. If you Atari again, white can still connect. And there is no connect and die. So for a shape like this, if black wants to capture white, we must use the throw-in technique. Please remember, a throw-in is a technique to take away the opponent's liberties. Okay. After the opponent captures it, we continue to Atari, forming connect and die again. White cannot connect, or they will all be captured. Okay. So this problem is also very representative. It has very few stones, but it illustrates a point, which is although sometimes you can directly Atari, please pay attention to the opponent's liberties. If a direct Atari cannot capture the opponent, we must use a throw-in to form this kind of connect and die to capture the opponent. Okay, finally, let's look at one more problem. Okay, for example, we now have a shape like this. Does black have a way to capture these four white stones? We still need to use the knowledge we learned before. Note that for connect and die, we must find a way to reduce the opponent's liberties. To how many? Usually down to 2 liberties before we can capture the opponent, right? So when we take away liberties, we can actually calculate it. For example, if black directly plays Atari on white now, after white connects, white has 3 liberties here. As we see more capturing techniques, we'll find that generally 3 liberties are relatively safe. Of course, I just showed a shape with 3 liberties, where a throw-in could capture those 3 stones, right? That was an exceptional case. In this shape, if black plays Atari now, white connects. Next, if black wants to cut, white plays what we call a downward Atari. Okay, we call it Atari on the second line. Atari on the second line. And this black stone is captured by white. Then naturally, white is also alive. So a direct Atari here definitely doesn't work. Then note that we need to use our throw-in. Look, if black directly plays a throw-in here, it is still reducing white's liberties or taking away white's liberties. White can only capture. It cannot play at this position, or it will be directly captured. It can only capture, and then I play Atari. Please note here that when white connects, although black cannot directly capture white, it creates this. What is it? Isn't this a shape of cutting and capturing on the second line? It is an Atari on the second line, although these white stones aren't directly captured. after being cut and tarried by black, it is still a captured shape. They have nowhere to escape, right? So we still call this shape connect and die. Even though they aren't directly captured, we utilized this cutting point to atari them and still capture them. So it still falls under the category of connect and die. So finally, we can summarize. Connect and die uses atari to prevent the opponent from connecting back. It can involve one atari, two ataris, or even multiple ataris in the future, right? To use connect and die. Then we must pay attention to the atari direction. In some problems or shapes, only a specific direction can form connect and die. An atari from the other direction will not form connect and die. Also, using a throw-in to take away the opponent's liberties to form connect and die. Of course, connect and die doesn't only mean capturing directly after an atari. We might use continuous ataris to finally form a cutting capture, and this is also called connect and die. Okay, that is all for this lesson.